Hi everyone, my name is Haley, and I am coming to you today to talk a little bit about our mental health and stress management. As you know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and so a really great thing to talk about with mental health is stress, because a lot of us have it, and having a normal amount of it is good. That's like very. It's like a normal thing for us as humans. We use it to make decisions and things like that, but when it comes to not being able to manage our stress, that's when it gets a little out of control. So today's just going to be a mini activity. Have something to write with. If you want to, you can also type this out as well. And this is a video where if you need to pause me multiple times, that's perfectly okay. Just to take the time to like journal and write down the questions that I'm about to ask. They're not like direct yes or no questions. They're just more like use it as a prompt to get your thoughts out, and things like that. Because oftentimes with stress, the point of this exercise is to get all your thoughts out of your head and onto the paper. So the point of that is because sometimes we like build this world in our minds of everything is awful and I have no one to go to for it and this and then there's no solution to the problem. And often it's very helpful if someone like me or just someone asking the right questions to get to get kind of out of your head, if that makes sense. So that could, if it's like, oh my gosh, I feel like I have no help at work. um that as something as a health coach, I'd be like, okay, do you actually have no help at work? Like no one helps you. You're alone. And when you say it, you're like, oh wait, that's not true. That sounds, so this is more of like an exercise to help you get out of your head, get your thoughts on your paper, and from there, that's actually like super effective in knowing where to start. Obviously, we are stressed about something. Okay, what is it, and what's the reality? And okay, once we know what it is and what the reality of it is, then we can go about finding a solution. And you know how best to find that solution. You're in charge of your own life. It's something that you know best on how to deal with, but sometimes we do need help figuring out what it is and how to handle it. So I'm going to share an image quick, and then we will get started. So if you've been to a workshop of mine before, then you have recognized this. Now we're going to ignore the wellness wheel check part. We're just going to focus on the wheels and more importantly what the words around them say. So I'm going to ask you to actually like use this, and you can even write them down or whatever, but what are the words on this page around the wheels that you know that you're struggling with? So when I ask you, what are you stressed about? Is it related to something on this wheel? And you can point to it. Now, thinking about this stress one, think of it as stress management. So maybe everything is like fine, but overall you feel like you don't manage your stress well, no matter how much or how little you have. And so that would be like something to think about there. So I want you to either again pause or think about it a little bit on what you need help with. And then from there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a series of questions, and it's going to be very broad. But because I'm not working with you one on one right now, it's obviously a recorded thing, so we can't work together live. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through questions, suggestions, examples of like what I would do if someone was telling me they were stressed about a certain aspect of wellness. So we will go through them all very briefly. Again, it's very broad, but feel free to pause me as many times as you need to like write things down, if it's related to like what you're struggling with. Or again, if you only have like one thing you struggle with, then feel free to fast forward me to the point that you want to get to. So I'm going to stop sharing this, and I'm going to pull up my questions that I'll see on my end, but I just again want you to have something out in front of you ready to go. And again, pause me as many times as you want to answer the questions that I ask or get the thoughts out that you have from things that I'm saying. We're going to start with occupational wellness here. So, if you pointed out that to yourself that work is what's really making you stress out right now. Again, I'm just going to go through questions and points that I would hit with someone if I didn't know anything about their situation. Occupational. Are there networks at work that can help with the problem? So assuming that the problem is at work, is there someone or something you can do to make the problem go away? If hopefully, is it something you talk about with your supervisor? Is it do you have teammates that can help you? Is there a colleague at your work that maybe knows a little bit about this, more about this project that you're working on? Is their expertise more in line? Things like that. And again, as I kind of go through this isn't like an exhaustive list of these are the only possible problems that can have to do with work. Definitely not. But again, I'm trying to hit like a broad spectrum here. So definitely don't think just because like, oh, she didn't say a point or a question that really related to me. It's like have it just kind of brainstorm on it and maybe it relates to something else, or maybe I make you think of something else or a thought or anything like that. So yeah, definitely don't be thinking that, oh, I can only have this sort of problem at work in order for my stress to be valid. I'm just using broad examples here. So again, is this a problem that can be solved by talking to your boss? Is it something that you can be helped with? Are your teammates there for you to help you? Or again, the colleagues example too. It's like, is it something that maybe you don't know the most about that you need to take care of at work? And is there someone you can outsource at work to help you? Financial. So this one is interesting. I always have people make a list at the start. If they say money is a stress, then okay, we're making a list of everything that you spend money on. You don't have to. Obviously, we're not live right now, so you don't have to. In a meeting, I tell them, you don't have to disclose anything you feel uncomfortable with, but start writing down things that you buy generally, and then I'm gonna label it as a want or a need, and well, they're gonna label it as a want or a need. And so needs are one of those things where obviously we need it. Like there's no real negotiation going on there. It needs to happen. That money needs to be spent. For example, a place to live, food, things like that. Now, wants are obviously the things that we just want. We don't need it to continue on with life. Really set example, you want Starbucks 7 days a week, but that costs, like $6 or $7, and it's an extra 50 or so dollars that's stressing you out every week. That's over $200 a month. Maybe like that's the fact that's stressing you out. Now, with those wants, after you make a list and maybe circle the wants versus the needs, you don't always have to get rid of all the wants. Prioritizing the expenses of mostly the wants, as in if you're not willing to give up Starbucks 7 days a week, then is there another want in your life where, oh, yeah, I can easily give that up? Or, okay, cool, that'll be a goal of mine to maybe spend less money on that. It doesn't always have to be the thing that you love the most that you have to give up. So that's a lot of what I hit with financial. So maybe start there and then see where that gets you. Environmental. So this is very, very broad. This has to do with your surroundings at work, at home, at if you're at school, anything, your car, any space that you are in, that is your environment, and your environment is ever changing. So if there's a specific environment that is stressing you out for whatever reason, that can be very broad. So the one question I'll just narrow it down to today, and again, it doesn't have to be the extent of what environmental wellness is talked about, but do you have a space to call your own? I think that is the biggest one there, is that oftentimes people feel that in their whatever environment they are in, they are the most stressed because they don't have space to themselves. And this can be very prevalent with like parents. If you're married, or living with roommates, maybe you don't have a space to call your own. And so like if you can think of a space on your own to make your own, even if it's only for like 2 minutes a day, is there something you can call your own and kind of drift off there, and make it your space for, again, even if it's just a minute or so a day. It can be very empowering to have, just know that there is some place where you can retreat to if you need to. um, Mental and emotional wellness, we're going to combine those two for today. I know a lot of mental and emotional wellness comes from, it kind of goes hand in hand with stress. So we are going to, and it can be so complex and so like, okay, what is going on? I'm going to hit some of the extreme points for this one, something that not that I would say is necessary, but if someone comes to me and they're just like, I've tried everything I can to improve my emotional wellness, and it is just not working. I've gone all the way to the point where I'm listening to this workshop and it's still just not working. With something like this, I would urge the client to think of, is this something that like counseling could help? Or a lot of times, hormone evaluation, again, you would have to go to a doctor for that. And I'm not saying you should, it's just a suggestion of some sort. But sometimes like literally you have hormones in your brain that if some of it is too much or too little, it will like cause you stress really when there is no stress at all. So these are extreme circumstances that we're hitting for today when it comes to mental and emotional wellness, but still all the same, making sure that we've hit those extreme points if we've tried everything else. Social wellness, so feeling like you have connection, community, things like that. This is like a really big one where people really get in their head about it. So like maybe they maybe they feel really lonely, or they feel like they don't have anywhere to go to. And it can be totally valid. Maybe that's so true, but a lot of times that I talk to clients, I have them list out, like, where are your outlets? Who are the people that you can go to? Like, name these people on a piece of paper. Who are those that you trust? Because, for example, maybe they're going through something and it's like, well, I can't trust anyone. And when they say that out loud, and I say, really, you can't trust anyone? Can you name someone that you could trust? Like, they kind of get going and the wheels start turning, and it's like, oh, okay, actually, maybe I do have a community. Maybe I do have people I can reach out to. Maybe, things like that. Again, we're kind of like taking what's in our head, that world we've built in there, we're getting it out. And if it's true when it's outside of our head, then okay, we have a place to start. But that's just something to think about for social wellness is, do you have people to talk to, essentially? Spiritual wellness, that is more of a sense of purpose, a sense of belief. You have a mission, you are here for a reason. This is why you get out of bed in the morning. And that can be a lot of different things for a lot of different people. A lot of times people think that spiritual is the same thing as religion, and they're very different. They can go together, but spiritual can also be separate from religion, as in being less structured. It can be more making it your own. And again, it all comes down to that same, like, do you have peace um, with like why you're living your life, why you get out of bed in the morning, things like that. Those questions that every human asks themselves, no matter what belief that they have or don't have. And so I'm just gonna name again. It's not it's not the extent of the list, but just a couple of different things that kind of touch on a lot of different areas of spiritual wellness. The one could be, and again, this isn't in any order, but different types of meditation can be shown to be helpful for people in this area of wellness. Um, Prayer of any type. Again, there are different world religions you can look into, and they all sort of, have different structures of praying. And so that can be something to look into. Yoga is also another practice that a lot of people use. And again, they can take that into a spiritual sense too, rather than just exercise. So, and again, that is not the extent of the list, but thinking about, like, are there things that I can try that might, boost my spiritual wellness, in terms of like finding my reason why I'm here. What's my life's purpose? Why do I get out of bed in the morning? Things like that. Maybe a good starting spot to answer those big questions. um Physical aspects of wellness, so we're talking now hydration, sleep, exercise, nutrition. All of those are just very common things that I talk to people about. And so we'll talk about, like, a few things that you can kind of start with, if this is something you're trying to work more on and getting better at. It'll cause you less stress. Hydration, so it's pretty clear, are you drinking enough water or not? There's different ounces and cups that you can look up for, like, this is how much you should be drinking based on your body weight. Or you could just let your body tell you. That is what I do, because I'm not good at keeping track of ounces and cups and amounts and things like that. Your urine will tell you how hydrated you are. If it's clear, and the more clear it is, the better hydrated you are. The less clear it is, the darker or anything like that, the less hydrated you are. So if you want to easily figure out how much water you're drinking, or if it's even a problem, take a look at the color of your urine the next time you go, and that will kind of give you a good starting point on, okay, I need to drink more water, or, oh, okay, I'm pretty hydrated. Not as much comment on what people are stressed on, but you never know. I never know who I'm talking to with these workshops. Sleep. This is a very common one. We are obviously very stressed when we are not sleeping. That would stress any human out. So, some things that I hit on. Do you have a consistent schedule? Now, life is life and things happen, and you're not always able to get to bed or when you want to, or wake up when you want to. And that can be due to work. Maybe you have children or other people you're taking care of, taking care of yourself. Um, uh, Life schedule is just different. But the more consistent you can be with going to bed around the same time and getting up around the same time, that is better than nothing. So even if that's only possible to do in your life 3 times a week, it's better than 0 times a week. So definitely working on a consistent schedule of waking up and going to bed, and then sleep hygiene practices. Getting a routine going as you're going to bed. So maybe it's like maybe, for example, it's, taking a bath, before, maybe doing some stretching, journaling. A big thing is phones. A lot of people, they want to get better sleep. Put the phone down at least an hour before you go to bed, because that blue light that's emitted from your phone, it is basically like triggering your melatonin to be suppressed, which melatonin helps you sleep. So melatonin is lower during the day because the sun is out, and your body, that is your body saying, okay, yeah, it's time to be awake because the sun is out. Staring at that phone is nearly the same practice as staring at the sun. And so when you're staring at the phone, your body is not going to tell you it's time to go to sleep. That's just not how it works. So pick up a book or get a podcast going or something. Just don't look at a blue light at least an hour before you go to bed if you can help it. Exercise. So this is something obviously that a lot of us worry about. Are we exercising enough? We want to take care of ourselves. It's recommended at least 30 to 60 minutes of movement every day. That doesn't even have to be exercise, so like lifting weights or doing crunches or things like that. It's just getting the heart rate above resting level. Now, some of us might not have 30 minutes in a row that is free throughout the day. That's a very real thing, and let alone 60 minutes or anything in between that range. That's a very real thing. I totally understand that. But do you have 5 minutes 6 times a day to move or to do something? And thinking about how like you can incorporate that into your day. So for example, is it taking the stairs to your next meeting instead of the elevator? Is it is it walking from work to the bus stop, or maybe getting off a few stops early so you have to walk a little further? Is it parking farther away in the grocery store parking lot? If you can add that up to 30 minutes of movement every day, like it's actually easier than you think if you really think about your life on like the day to day. I'm like, okay, when can I do this? When can I not? Nutrition, that's the last thing here, and then we will wrap up. But the top four things that I see, and this is stuff you can look up to. The top four things I see, especially Americans struggling with, that really suppresses their nutrition quality is A, not getting enough protein, not getting enough fiber, not getting enough probiotics, so like that good bacteria in your gut that helps you fight off disease and things like that. And then also lack of, surplus of processed food. So having less of that would be good. So those are, again, and there's so much more we can talk about with nutrition, but those are like the top four things that especially Americans struggle the most with, either not getting enough of or getting too much of when we're talking about the processed food. And so just take those four things for now, and you can look up other stuff, or you can talk to one of our dietitians, or anybody in our company more about it. But just thinking about those four things: protein, fiber, probiotics, and processed food. How much or how little of that do you get throughout your week? And is that a goal you can set of, okay, I don't know, where I want to start, but this whole trying to get enough protein thing sounds pretty okay to me. So maybe you want to talk to someone about that. One of our Kanema staff, our dietitian, things like that. And so, yeah, I would just recommend with nutrition, it's very complex. Just pick one and try to, run with it. And so with that, that is the activity for today. So it's short and sweet and to the point. If you needed to pause me at any point, that was the point of that, to get your thoughts out, to answer those questions, get them out in the open instead of in your head. And I hope that helped you at least pick a starting point on where you can start in making these changes. And so, yeah, with that, I thank you guys for your time and your attention. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned at least a little bit of something. And I hope to see you next time. Thanks all.